Well, if you guessed this chainsaw night, you're right. I got the Husqvarna 455 Rancher. Friend of mine's, he says it doesn't want to wind out. It runs good, it starts easy, it won't spool, it won't wind up. I just had it running, and he's right. There's not a lot of top end there, so if you don't have top end and it doesn't really scream, once you put it into a piece of wood, it's not gonna be good. So, not knowing the history of this saw, I'm going to kind of just take some stuff apart, and I'm going to get into it, and I'm going to look around. Chances are there's something in the carburetor, or we have a spark plug going bad. It could be many things with these things. They're very temperamental. The carburetors are so small. Sometimes you can get the smallest thing in the high side jet, the high speed jet, and it'll just cause havoc. So let's just tear into it and see what we can see before we get it really crazy. So we'll take the top cover off with these 3 bolts. Some of these, we have chop saws also that are the same situation, and a lot of those, the fuel lines or the vacuum line for the fuel come off because you don't have fuel pumps. These use vacuum to get the fuel to pump. Okay, we got a little air filter action here. You can see there is some, as much as you blow these out, these will hold on to some wood. Okay, you can see there's some chips in there and some fine stuff in that filter there. I don't think that's the full issue, but there is some stuff in there for sure. Cottonwood, there's some fuzzies. They gotta breathe. Now, also, by looking down into the carburetor throat, down in here, we can kind of see there's some stuff that's gotten in there, okay? You're not gonna keep sawdust out of this. It doesn't matter. I don't care what you do, how great you are. You can just, on the outside of the carburetor, see all the little wood chips and stuff like that? That will get in there. That will go through your filter. If you have a hole or whatever, it'll suck right in through this port right here, and that port goes right into there, which goes into your carburetor. So that's where I'm going to start. We're going to start with the carburetor. We're going to take it out. We're going to do a little cleaning here. Every one of these is different. We got a little fuel down in there too. I'm wondering if we got a leaky line. Yeah, I see some possible issues here. I mean, I don't know if that could be doing it, but it's like I said, there's so many things that can go wrong with these. If we look down in here, you can see where that hose, that little blue round thing right there, you can see you see it there. If I push the primer ball, we can see a little fuel. You see the little bubbles? Okay, so that doesn't have a great seal, so that's getting a little fuel down in there. That could be starving for fuel. I mean, that could starve it. I know that is a return line from the primer ball, but some of these tanks have to have a vacuum, and if they don't have a vacuum, it's not going to pull the fuel it needs to pull. So that could be part of it. But we're just gonna, the thing with these really small 2-strokes are, don't assume you found it, all right? There's gonna be a lot of things that are gonna look different. We're gonna find out what all they are, what all of them are, and we're gonna assess it. I'm sure there's a lot more other than that. There's probably a couple down below there. This might get to the point where you have to detach the engine from the handle, honestly. I can get to that one. Well, I might be able to get to that one. Let's just see here. Yeah. Not looking promising. I think we're gonna want to detach this. Like I said before, they're all different. Them Husqvarnians definitely don't want you to take your saw apart because they build them good. I got a 2-stage carburetor here. Kind of got an up port and a down port. There's our throttle linkage. We can get that out of there. Doesn't have to come all the way out. We'll just get out of the way. And we have our rubber bushings holding this on, so we need to pry this out a little bit. And let's see, we also have all our linkages. This goes to the choke, this goes to the on-off, so that comes with this unit. Get down in here. I'd love to slide this off right here. Should pop off. That needs to won't let go. We got rubber bushings and stuff hanging onto stuff and rubber bands in here that hold stuff onto stuff. You want to make sure when you're cutting your wood, the saw don't fall apart. They do a real good job. Now this thing only goes in and out of the way. This linkage one way. It's kind of like a puzzle. There we go. Okay, we can swing this guy out of the way here. That brings us to our carburation department. I really want to get to these hoses because that's where everything gets questionable. There's the high and the low speed jets. They haven't been touched in, I don't even know. Let's unhook the primer ball hose. There's that one. Let's see here. We got another hose down here. This is the feed hose, I believe, the fuel line. Hopefully she don't leak gas everywhere. And after all this work, guys, there is our carburation device, okay? It's kind of like the funkiest thing you've ever seen. But you can see how it gets dirty. And you get some stuff inside there, it's not going to run great. So we're going to clean this up. Hoses don't look terrible. I don't see any cracks, but also if you do get, if you happen to get some bad fuel lines, because like these get brittle, these plastic hoses, they get brittle, they crack, they leak. Just suck in just a little bit of air and it will ruin your day. Like this one down here that I was showing you earlier that was leaking at that seal, that one's really hard. It's really stiff, and this one is too. So once they get stiff from the gas, which is normal, you have to compensate for that. You have to. If it loses fuel, it's not going to run right. Let's slide this out of the way. Let me get one of my pads here. And we're going to go ahead and just spray this thing down a little bit. On the outside, I want to try not to contaminate anything inside. So when I take this apart, I can tell if that's our issue or if I need to keep looking. I mean, right in that opening there's some stuff, and there's definitely some stuff in here, so, which is good. I mean, you want to find something. I'll take this screw off. I do believe our diaphragm should be under this plate because it's a Walbro carburetor. You can see our little plastic. It's blue. That's a diaphragm. We want to make sure that's not broken. There's no leaks. There's the diaphragm right there. It's just a real thin piece of plastic. I don't see any damage. There's really no jetting in here. There's a couple passages, but nothing major. Down here, there is a fuel screen. You see that round circular hole. I don't want to tip it too much, but that round circular hole, there is a screen in there. There's a little piece of screen. And I don't see anything in there. There's something, but I don't think it's dirt. That's the diaphragm side. The main jet side's going to be, these ports here. Well, let's pop the top off. See if there's anything in here. If nothing else and I don't find anything standing out, what we'll do is we're just going to clean it up real good and we're going to put it back together. And we're going to be able to rule out this part. This is process of elimination. Not knowing the saw, not knowing how it runs normally or how it's supposed to run. It's process of elimination on problems. Problem solving. Here's the other diaphragm. You can see there is some, this is the outside of it, but still you can see we got some grimy stuff on there, okay? And that's because this hole in that plate, that's a vent hole. So that's gonna get some stuff in it. Put this under the light. I see no tears. You get a tear in one of these, it's not going to work. But I don't see any. Now, You can see how small. Let me find my pointing device. Here's one. You can barely see how small these jets are in here. Like this brass, you see that circle right there, right? Well, there's a hole in that about the size of a pin. And it doesn't take much. That piece of brass right there, the little one, with a hole in it, the size of a pin. Matter of fact, I think that says 3.5. That must be the size. It doesn't take anything to plug that. It's microscopic. This is our needle. I doubt there's anything in there, but there is a little garbage on top of the needle. And that's not from us. I'm not going to take the needle out. I'm just going to flush by it. And then we're going to hit it with a little air. We're going to get a little compressed air behind this, and we're going to blow the stuff out. So I'm going to have to fire up the compressor, I think. Maybe not. I might have enough air pressure in there. We're about to find out, I guess, right? Yeah, we got something here. So yeah, we got some garbage in there for sure. We definitely got some garbage in there. And all it takes is a bad air filter for that stuff to get in there. There is some garbage in there. Now, I can't tell you, and I can't say to you, that's definitely the problem, because I don't know. But it sure would be nice if it was. But at this point, at least we know we took it all apart. We blew out all our ports, all our little jets. We put it back together and we know we're starting fresh. Problem is, I don't know where the stuff goes, so I hope you guys are paying attention. Were you guys paying attention? Because I'm not sure where. I mean, I know where most of the stuff goes, but I don't know where it all goes. So hopefully you were watching so you can tell me. You'll have to comment and tell me I'm doing it wrong. Meticulous carburetor work. This is definitely not a Holley or a Quadrajet automobile carburetor, that's for sure. These are the ones where you need patience and small fingers. All right, there's that one. We gave this a nice blowout. We have everything blown out. I just want to see if I'm getting air out of this port here. Yeah, it's hitting me. I don't see any tears. No tears there. I don't know what year this thing is. So on a diaphragm carburetor such as this one, in case you're wondering, maybe you know carburetors usually have fuel bowls and they usually have needles and seats. So the needle and seat is the pin device down here that when this opens, it pulls that, it opens and closes a valve basically. It's like turning on and off a faucet, all right, by pushing this right here. In a car or a lawnmower, you have a float that activates this. Now on this diaphragm carburetor, they call it a diaphragm because this diaphragm, that little point right there on this diaphragm, pushes on this arm, which opens the needle and seat. It makes it flutter, and it flutters really fast. And as it flutters, that's what lets the gas into the carburetor system. So when they say diaphragm carburetor, this is what they're talking about. It operates the needle in the seat instead of a float bowl and a float. So if you have a tear in this, this is fluttering off of vacuum from the crankcase. So if it has a hole in it, it's not going to be going up and down because this is kind of like a trampoline. The center of it goes up and down. So if you have a tear in it, it's not going to flutter. You're not going to get the correct fuel. So that's how that works. You ain't got no flutter system. You ain't gonna run. Here's the part that is a challenge. It's getting little screws back in. I would get my magnetic screwdriver, but then that's cheating. So we're just gonna use the old fingers. It's good training for the fingers to make sure you can still use these little screws with your fingers. Keeps you sharp. This kind of makes it difficult. This little wall of butterflies here. I keep forgetting I got a vise over there. I should have put this in the vise. We're going to snug them all. Get them all touching and seating. And then we're going to give them all about maybe a quarter turn. All right. And there we are. So let's put this back together, possibly, see what happens. Actually, let's set this to the side for now. Let's go ahead and try and clean this mess up in here. because it is, it's a mess. I'm not going to hit it with compressed air because then it's going to come right back in my eyes. And guys, I know how every chemical in the mechanic world, I can tell you just about every chemical and what burns the most when it goes in your eyes, because I've pretty much had them all. I thought carburetor cleaner was the worst. Brake clean's bad. Carburetor cleaner is worse. It's got more of a burn. But there's a penetrating oil that I sprayed in my eyes one time on accident. I sprayed something and it came back. And when it came back, it hit me in the face and it went in my eyes. This stuff was terrible. I don't know what it was, but it burned bad. And it burned for a long time. I've not had carburetor cleaner that bad. This stuff was wicked. Good stuff. So this is the little boot right here, and this boot goes on right here, and that boot allows you to get your screwdriver into your high and your low mixture screws. If your saw is running bad and you think you're going to try to adjust your high and your low mixture screws, or maybe you're watching somebody and they're going to do it, please know what you're doing, because that can just ruin your whole day. All right, those things are very finicky. If you don't know what you're doing, don't touch them, because you'll make everything worse. Which I'm wondering if that happened here. Because sometimes you get projects and you go to fix them, and when you're done, and after you've struggled, the person may tell you, oh yeah, I was trying to adjust that. And well, that's something that we should have known before I started tearing it apart. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to pop this cover off, which is the recoil. And that's going to help me put this thing together easier. That way I can put the high, low adjuster tube in there better and see if it's actually where it's supposed to be. All right, there we go. Now, if we can get this guy back in here where he goes, that'd be swell. And the bolts go in there, but you want this to be seated here. You want to make sure everything is hooked up correctly. It's all going to mesh where it's supposed to. I got to put that lower hose on. I think I can do that with the needle nose. I need to clean this off a little bit. And let's see if we can hook all this linkage back up, because this is just wonderful. I should just put it together as one and slide it all in, but that only works in a perfect world. And perfect world and fairy tales, I say. They make this so it pops in and out, right? Yeah. Well, sort of. Like this one will come off, I think. Maybe not. Just pop that in like that. Just action. You know, I know you want to be in the action, so gotta try and get you there. So now, I gotta see if I can line these bolts up. Here's the other problem I have too, is I need to get this linkage back on the throttle. Not sure that's possible. I'm probably gonna end up taking the carburetor back apart. Where is it? Yep, here you go. This is something. I remember the steel saws at work, the chop saws. They're absolutely terrible. The linkages they put on those things, it's just not, it's not cool. And some of these linkages, I don't know, they invent these linkages. They're absolutely ridiculous. Like there's no way I'm going to pull that. Let me get this off here. This might make it a little easier. Yep. Now I'm trying to work around you guys. Just so you can be in the action. You know, when I pulled this off, I knew this was going to happen. I just knew this was going to fight me the whole way. There we go. You need to get under there. This needs to go over there. You need to get under there. And you need to lock in there. Like that. Okay, that's how that needs to work. Now you need to slide into here, but first I have to slide the white thing back on the rod because I pulled it off to get it in, and now there has to be enough room to get it started in this handle, which also doesn't want to cooperate. So we gotta do a little stretching and maybe a little manipulation of sorts. You guys are like, what is he doing? This is part of it, guys. This is part of it. All for that, right there. All right, so now we want to get our bolt started in here. Now the stuff's got to line up too. Let's see. I like that hand in your face. You like that? See, maybe we get you a different view here. Give you guys a better view. I'll tighten that one all the way up before you get this one. I'm not gonna like promise anything, but promising it something I might know, but I think that linkage just came off, and it did. That easy. It came off that easy. It was that hard to get on, but yeah, it popped off that easy. When it slid over. Wonderful. Pretty crafty there. Well, let's see if we can pull this back again. Pull it back like that, and that gives us just enough ability to spin the hook on the end, get it through the hole, rotate it back up. Once we're rotated, we line it up and we can push this plastic piece back in. Kind of like that. Now we just need to put our screws back in the handle. We gotta do all this in here. We're going to gently start these, I think. Or not. You're the boss, Mr. Screw, not me. Okay, well, so much for gently. I was going to gently put it in, but the impact says, no, that's okay. We're not going to do it gently. We're just going to send it. So, all right, send it. Now the other one, and of course this is coming out again. See, there's too many little parts that don't fasten to anything. Like, a lot of this stuff gets sandwiched together. So when you have 83 parts that are getting sandwiched together, it's very hard to put together. Make the parts so they are permanent, and we don't have to sandwich things. All right, we're going to go ahead and what in the heck is going on here? All right, we are going to try and fire this thing, and we're not going to have the camera on doing it. So actually, what time is it? Because I have another day on this, and I have a concrete pour tomorrow running the laser screed. So depending on the time, I might wrap this up for tonight. But we're there, kind of. So you know what? That's a good idea, guys. Let me wrap this up for now, and we will see you on the next day, which will be in just a second for you. And it is the next day, just like that, with the magic of video. Not really, it's not really the next day, guys. It's actually the next evening, okay? So, not on camera, because that would be annoying. I went ahead and I started this up, I ran it, and I adjusted my high fuel mixture screw, which made it open up and just scream at the top end like it's supposed to. So we're gonna see what happens with that. I will take it with me tomorrow to work before I turn it in to my buddy, and I will run it and cut a piece of wood and see what happens. But I think we're good. And I do believe it was everything that was in the carburetor, like I was saying before. A little bit of junk in there can really ruin your day. So he bought a rebuild kit for it, so we went ahead and put the new plug in it, and we have a new filter right here. We're gonna put the new filter on it and replace the cover, and we should be good to go. Now, this is probably all for nothing, and you're probably saying, why didn't you just do it last night, or I mean earlier? Of course, you guys didn't. Yeah, it's the same video, doesn't matter. The reason I waited today is because when you adjust the high screw for the carburetor, the high is basically the high end. You want to be wide open. You got to hold it wide open while you turn that screw. The low speed jet is obviously just off idle. The high speed jet is hammer down. Well, I don't want to be hammering down on a chainsaw at 10 o'clock at night, is which it was about the time it was last night when I got to the point that I needed to adjust that. I kind of want to be courteous to the neighbors and, you know, not have them listen to a chainsaw screaming next door in the Lunatic's garage. So, pretty sure this is good to go. Where I'm going to set it right over here on top of the Salter, which I don't need because apparently it's not snowing anymore. And we're going to pick some tools up and regroup. So that's it for the 455 Rancher project. Maybe it wasn't entertaining to you. I hope it was. I hope you learned something. I hope it's hard working on little compact stuff like that and filming it. That's something I'm still learning. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a thumbs up if you want to. If you don't, that's fine too. And hit subscribe, will you? Because I'm gonna have some good stuff coming up. I'm working. I'm thinking. I want to make some good videos for you guys to watch and entertain you. So have a good night. Thanks for watching. Jim Bob Service. We'll see you.